Welcome back to Digi Bros, everybody.
Welcome back to Digi Bros.
We were just having a long behind-the-scenes discussion about how I don't think either of us can remember anything we've talked about tonight on this playthrough so far, because we are completely losing our minds this early into a playthrough of a game that is not hard.
It'll get better, guys. We're just, we're in a rut.
But we were like, remember that beautiful period where we had, like, prepared topics for this show?
Oh, man.
Remember how nice that was? And then Victor was like, I have 2 things I wrote down.
From, like, 2 weeks ago now.
See, like, this was the issue.
So long ago.
Like, okay, we had, like...
There were a bunch of things I was excited to talk about, and then we spent too long, like, not
all your fault.
And then I left.
Entirely your fault.
There was a period of time before I left, too. But
I was begging you to do Digi Bros.
I was doing my grad school applications, and I couldn't do Digi Bros.
Right. It was like a whole week between the last Phantasy Star recording, and, like, I was, like, coming up with ideas to talk about shit, and then, Victor, like, the one day that it was like, all right, now we have time, we can do this, and Victor's like, I have to write grad school applications, and I'm leaving in the morning,
That was the necessity.
You should have done them, like, a week prior.
Well, why don't you go fuck yourself, because I couldn't do them a week prior, because I didn't know when the fucking deadline was, because the deadline for the one school is different than the fucking other schools, okay? So, get off my fucking dick. I was stressed the fuck out about it, alright?
Apparently you're still stressed the fuck out about it.
Yes, I'm still fucking annoyed about it.
So, we lost whatever topics we had in mind. We, like, either forgot or I used them in the solo Let's Plays. And then, like, because we don't have any more videos, then it's like, okay, we need to record, but we haven't come up with any topics yet, So it's like we're trying to get enough videos out to, like, buy us some time. And that's why there's less topic. But you did have 2 topics written in your phone. Yeah. That you vaguely
I can talk about one of them.
Kind of remember. So, what's the first one?
I was watching Haikyuu, and I've always just, like...
Whoa. What is... You were watching the anime series Haikyuu, a volleyball show.
A volleyball sports
A high school sports volleyball show.
Yes.
It's one of those it's a Shonen Jump adaptation, but with lots of pretty boys.
It's one of the
popular
ones,
with girls.
There's 2 categories of sports shows to me. There are, like... What's the proper way to put this? There's sports shows that are really focused on, like, one character and, like, his progression through his career. That's right. I call them career sports shows versus inner high sports shows.
Right.
Because shows like Hajime no Ippo and Baby Steps are about the main character's career going through sports,
right,
and like his entire
shows
life.
That start off with the character in high school, but it follows them through the years, and they get better, and they
get
become
out of
professionals.
High school, hopefully.
Right.
But then there's shows that are about the inter-high, where, like, probably because they haven't gotten through enough seasons, but fucking they'll spend forever in the fucking inter-high. The entire show is about the inter-high.
What is the inter-high?
The inter-high is like... it's a big fucking tournament between high schools.
It's basically when in high school sports, as it's understood in Japan, I guess. I don't know if this is like a real property of high school sports in Japan, but there's always a point where your team has to fight every other team in the area, and then eventually in the nation. And it's called the inter-high.
It's like going from regionals to nationals or whatever the fuck.
Right. So usually it's about the regional competition, where the story will mostly take place.
Every high school sports show, starts off with that, and then if it's an anime, it might only ever get through that,
Right. So, like, examples of inter-high shows, Haikyuu, obviously.
Yeah, Haikyuu, Yoapeda, which goes through 2 seasons in the inter-high.
Slam Dunk.
Oh yeah, Slam Dunk, fucking... like 70 episodes of the inter-high.
The whole thing is the inter-high, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't get past it.
Because it finishes like...
I stopped at episode like 55 or some shit.
Well, the ending...
fuck my ass!
It ends with them going to the Nationals, and then I think losing in the Nationals, and that's how it ends. But, these are all shows that only take place in high school, and they never go past that. It's just about the high school sports team. So, what was your point about inter-high shows?
My point about... It's not specifically about that, but it's really specifically about Haikyuu. as an Inner High show, because I don't like it as much as something like Hajime no Ippo, and I always have to think, like, why? Because a lot of people love this, why don't I like it as much as they do? And I think it's because the characters are nothing besides their sport. Like, they don't think about anything else, they don't do anything else, and it was made clear to me in an episode in season 2 of Haikyuu where there's like this new girl who's introduced as a potential new manager, and she's meeting the team and shit, and she's like, do you guys like they make it apparent that they don't think about anything but volleyball, and that is literally the one thing they do, and like it's obvious to them that that is all there is in life, is playing volleyball. And I was like, that is why these characters aren't very interesting to me versus other sports shows, because you were saying this in your romance anime video,
they
where
have to
it's
have
like,
a life outside
they have
of
to have a
romance.
life outside of romance. Like, you have to be able to imagine what they would be doing if they didn't make it, or like why this is important to them besides just the fact that they want to win. Like in Haikyuu, their motivation is that they want to win. There is no other reason to care about them succeeding other than that they want it, and you want them to win because they're passionate. And I'm like, that's just not as fun to me. Where it's like a character
explain Ippo.
A character like Ippo, like, he had a life outside of sports. Like, he works on his mom's fishing boat, he has all this shit going on, and then it's like the sport to him was really like a way for him to come out of his shell and like become his own person, and then he becomes passionate about boxing. And it's like,
right. Because
you can imagine him without boxing, and you understand why boxing is important to him, besides just the fact that he's obsessed with boxing.
He got into boxing because he got bullied when he was in high school, even though he was he had like a lot of muscular strength.
But he had no confidence, and he didn't realize he was strong.
So he learns how to fight, and then he like defends himself, and he realizes that like having power and confidence makes him feel better.
Yes.
And so he decides he wants to start trying to compete, and keep gaining
at first
more.
he's literally doing it because it's fun. Like, he's just having a good time, he really enjoys it, and then he starts to get good at it, and he goes, I wonder what it would be like to be strong, and he wants to get stronger.
Right.
And it's like, that to me is just
if
more awesome. You understand why he's doing what he does and why he wants to keep getting better, besides just the fact that he wants to win.
What's great about Achan from Baby Steps is, like, even more so than Ippo, like, you can easily imagine Achan living his whole life without discovering tennis, because
he would have done something else.
Because like the funny thing about Achan is he didn't really have there was nothing tragically wrong with him.
Yeah.
Like, Ippo was getting bullied, and he didn't, like, he had like a dramatic reason. Achan literally just wanted to do something physical.
Yes.
Because all he did was study.
He just needed a fucking hobby.
He was like, all I do is study, and I wanted to like try to work out more because I felt like I wasn't in good physical condition. So he just like randomly picks up tennis, like, oh, that's a physical thing, and like some girl in my class does it, so why not try it, you know? And then like gets super fucking into it, and it dominates his life, you know? But like,
and it's like the obsession develops, and you see that progression.
But the best thing about Achan as a tennis player is the Achan notes, because like his whole style, like, it's not just that he gets into tennis. His style of tennis is entirely influenced by who he is. It's that he obsessively takes notes over everything, so he becomes this really technical player because he takes extensive notes on every single hit that everyone does and draws them out, because he has like amazing eyesight and he can like really interpret everything that's happening. So he'll draw out every angle of approach possible and like try to calculate how to play. And you know, the inspirational quote he hears is if you want to win at tennis, all you have to do is always hit the ball, or what was it? You have to always return the serve or whatever.
Yeah, I guess like so. Something like that.
As long as you always hit it back, you won't lose.
Yeah.
You know, like, the only way you lose is if you couldn't get to the ball and hit it back correctly. So, it's like when he realizes that, he's like, oh, so it's all a system. You know, if I know everything and I can do everything, then I win no matter what. You know, like, so like it just fits in perfectly with his personality, because he's like a pro test taker, you know, a pro note taker. And although like that was the thing, I guess if he did have a tragic flaw, it was that he was not talented at anything. It was all just that he took notes.
Yeah.
Because like people thought because he's not really that smart.
Yeah.
Like it was just that he would study things so hard that he would learn them. You know, like because like nothing comes naturally to me. I just take notes all day, and eventually I figure out what it is. You know. So yeah. Excellent characterization, and I agree with you, and I get where you're coming from, because I made it 9 episodes into Haikyuu, and like I appreciate the show for the technicality of the sport, you know, which is why
they do a great job of presenting the sport, and the animation's stellar, and like that's what keeps me on it is just like it is a good show.
That's what Ghost Lightning liked about it so much, is he was like, in terms of like showing you a sport in detail with crazy animation and being like really selling you on like volleyball is awesome. Like that's what it does well. But like who gives a fuck about the characters? You know, like they're just really a bunch of pretty boys.
And it focuses more on like the enemy teams most of the time, and then it's just like Boyd has been defending the show to me when I brought up all that, and he was just like, well, I really like that it goes in depth with like the bad guys and like shows you that their team is, you know, doing whatever and makes you kind of root for them, and then you're not sure which one you want to win. And then I'm like, but they do that in every sports show. Like I don't see how it's more unique in that show. Like every sport, that's the idea of every sports show, is that they go in depth with the enemy and make you sympathize with them, and then you're not sure who you want to win.
Yeah. Or at least
like every Ippo bad guy starts off, you know, he seems like this evil dude most of the time, but then it turns out he has a sob story, and then you're like, oh, well, it's gonna suck that he loses when, you know, Ippo's really just in this for fun, while this guy needs to take care of like his entire family or something.
Right.
But then he'll usually get motivated, you know, in a different way afterwards.
Right. That's always the intrigue, is like how is this guy going to succeed in his goal now that you know he's gonna lose this boxing match, you know?
Or sometimes Ippo loses, and it's like, holy shit.
Like, in Baby Steps, when he fights the guy who's, like, the second best, after... Not Takamura, but it's a similar name, like Takuma or something. Who's the rival guy? Like, the guy who's, like, the big dude who likes Natsuo. You know, the super strong guy.
I don't remember his name.
There's, like, a main rival dude in Baby Steps who's, like, definitively the best in the area, and there's this guy who's like the second best who'd been losing to him all over the years, and like when he goes to this tournament, he tells that guy like, if I lose, I'm giving up on going pro, you know, like because he was just like sick of it at this point. And then I think he loses to A-chan like and doesn't even make it there, and then you're kind of like, man, this guy, you know, because like when you hear that, you're like, oh man, his whole fucking career's on the line, you know. But then when you see him lose, you're like, oh, is he gonna be motivated? Is he really gonna quit? You know, did A-chan end this guy's career when he's just like not even a serious player? You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that's a common element of all sports anime. What is wrong with this room? Oh, clever girl.
He's just a man in the pot.
I'm just a man in the pot. Rub my nose in shit.
Are those the lyrics?
Yeah, I think so.
Won't you come in my anus?
I don't know how that's
anus. Wow, wow, wow.
Oh, Jesus. Well, we actually got a decent discussion out of that sports thing. What was the other topic you had written down?
I don't want to fucking...
I really am curious about that. The words you read were like...
so just not even... I can't remember where I was going with it at all.
I see.
It's something about like... oh, shit. Oh, this is giving me a headache. Trying to like piece it together of where like
just
the point I wanted to make.
It's okay. We talked. We got like a whole episode out of that little sports anime discussion.
I know it would have been something good, like if I could like articulate it.
This dungeon's pretty cool though.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
I like the way they handled the lava aesthetic, which I'm not usually a fan of in games.
I like the way they're like there's been all these things like the little torch items and like the jars and stuff that we've seen in other places, and then it's just kind of like you see them here and you just kind of figure out that you're supposed to use them in these like new ways.
Right. Yeah. Good game design.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of the like cliche level types in games, like the fire level or the ice level, like I'm usually not that into it, but then if you have a game like this where the art design is so good that it's like this is the fire level, like this is how they should be, you know, or like
as long as it's like they use like they use that setting in a unique way where it's not just like it just happens to be in a volcano. It's like, and this is like, oh, you throw water parts onto lava. They've made a new mechanic for this area that they haven't done before, and it's interesting.
Right. And then you get the hook shot with such so you like swing over lava and shit. All right. Next time on Digi Bros, have you gone through one of those like warp pots recently?
Yeah, there's just one of those there.
Okay,
Do I have to go through them to like save?
Well, when you restart your game, you'll be at the start of the dungeon.
Or I guess we're done.
Yeah, we're gonna finish this play session. Next time we'll have more topics that we come up with, and hopefully it won't be 100,000 degrees.
How do I fucking save the
game? But we've bought ourselves a good week or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun stuff. More Wind Waker in the future.
Yay!